What's up guys, John here, Nomadic Pride, and today I'm going over the various things that'll be included in the van build.
Nomadic pride, we're wild and free. Nomadic.
Designed for the Ford Transit extended body with a high roof, so it'll give me the most workable space possible. It's got 145 inches of usable length, 57 inches of usable width, and it's just 5 inches high, so it's pretty low profile. The main construction's aluminum, and then it's stainless steel for the footers and hardware. It weighs in at just under 80 pounds. It's got 7 80-20 compatible cross members that can pretty much be placed wherever you want, making it easier to work around, say, a ventilation fan. This rack will provide a good foundation for mounting everything. On the roof rack, I'll be mounting 4 200-watt monocrystalline solar panels for a total of 800 watts. The panels will be wired in series, feeding the system with 92 volts at 8.7 amps. The panels are half-cut and have bypass diodes, which in simple terms just means that a bit of shading won't wreck the energy production. With 800 watts, you're probably wondering just what power system I'm using, and I'll get to that shortly. For extra safety, there will be a breaker between the solar panels and the electrical system. For ventilation, I've gone with the MaxxFan Deluxe. These fans are pricey, but seeing other nomads go with cheaper knockoffs and ultimately ending up disappointed, I just wasn't taking any chances. The fan's got 10 speeds and it can be operated with the remote control or with the buttons on the unit. It's a low power 12-volt fan, and since it's bidirectional, it can act as an intake or an exhaust. It can be operated in the rain and even while you're driving down the road. At up to 900 cubic feet per minute, this unit can change the air in my van in about 40 seconds, so it's going to be a fine addition to the build in spite of the cost. To improve cell service in remote locations, I've gone with weboost, specifically the Drive Reach Overland model, which provides the strongest amplification allowed by the FCC. It's got an adjustable mount, so I can fold the antenna down when it's not in use, and it also has an inline spring, so if I happen to go under, say, some low-hanging trees, the antenna can bend instead of just breaking. Also going up top is a portable weather station. This one's got a built-in solar cell to keep it powered, which means no extra roof holes needed. It tracks temperature, humidity, wind speed and direction, and a lot of other things. And you can even set it up like an alarm to notify you of extreme conditions. It even has a snooze button. The station comes with an indoor sensor too, which will be super handy if I ever have condensation issues and need to keep track of the dew point. Next up is, where'd this even come from? Moving along. For clean water storage, I've got two 24-gallon tanks. I went with tanks that fit over the wheel well so I can better use the space. I don't yet have a gray tank, but given the amount of water I'll potentially be hauling, an undercarriage design makes the most sense. This will keep the gray water outside the van, which in turn will make it easier to purge and clean. And in the case of an undercarriage tank, there's no fussing over drain heights inside the van. Gravity can just do its thing. To send water through the system, I'm using a 3-gallon per minute C-flow pump. It's a self-priming model that can even run completely dry without damage, so this gives me a bit of extra peace of mind. To make the system a bit more efficient, I picked up a small accumulator tank. This allows the water lines to stay pressurized for a longer period of time, meaning the pump doesn't necessarily need to cycle on every time water is drawn from the system. To heat the van, I went with an S-Bar Airtronic AS3 D2L heater kit, which provides just over 6,800 BTUs. This is a diesel heater, but my van's got a gas engine, so I'll need to carry a jerry can for the diesel. The kit comes with the heater unit, mounting plate, 12-volt fuel pump, fuel line, electrical harnesses, intake and exhaust pipes, a few outlet grills, a bit of ducting, hardware, and a few other things. It also comes with a tiny wired control unit with a display. For lighting, I've got 16 of these 12-volt DC puck lights. They're 2.5 watts apiece and put out about 215 lumens. They're warm white, which basically is the same color you'd use in a common living room lamp. I'll be wiring these in 4 zones with a 12-volt dimmer switch on each zone to give me the most versatile lighting options. For refrigeration, I chose an upright model and it'll be delivered in the next few days. It's a 12-volt RV fridge-freezer combo with 10 cubic feet of storage. That may seem excessive, but I do eat a lot, and the last thing I want to do is break camp because I ran out of food. The freezer will allow me to keep ice readily available, and it'll be a good place to store foods that I've prepped and vacuum sealed for later. I still haven't decided on whether or not to build an internal shower stall, or maybe a stealth shower that stows away. However, I'll definitely have a shower out back. For privacy there, I'll be using this retractable clothesline system to hold a shower curtain between the rear cargo doors when they're locked in the 90-degree position. And since I'm on the topic of privacy curtains, I picked up this flexible track for a privacy curtain between the cab and the cargo space. Since my seats swivel, I may just try to install this on the cab ceiling in an oblong formation so that the privacy curtain can be drawn even if the seats are turned backward and someone is sitting in them. Okay, let's talk about the sink. Here's an area where I wanted to avoid making a common mistake, which is to install a sink that is too small to be comfortably used. This sink's outer rim measures 28 by 20 inches, so it was pretty much the biggest one I could reasonably fit in the space. The actual bowl is 26 inches wide and 16 inches front to back with a 9-inch depth. To help prevent pooling, the bottom of the tank is sloped toward the drain on all sides. The outer surface was sprayed with an anti-condensation coating, and there's anti-vibration pads on all sides. I still haven't gotten the faucet, but it did come with all the drain connection parts. They actually included a set of white gloves with it, which seemed funny at first, but in hindsight, yeah, that tracks. And the stove. Here again is an area where my aim was simply to avoid the same mistake many others have made, and that is getting a stove so compact that you can't easily use more than one burner at a time. So I went with this 4-burner model. It's got one large burner, 2 mid-sized burners, and 1 small burner. And nice beefy grates too. Since I plan to spend at least some time boondocking with others, having a good way to prepare food for more than 1 or 2 people felt like a must-have. This particular model can be surface mounted, or it can be used as a tabletop stove, so I haven't yet decided if I'll make an actual cutout for it, or store it and keep that area as a usable counter space. What would you guys do? For extra safety, I've got a smoke detector, a carbon monoxide detector, and an LP gas detector. In addition, there's also a couple of fire extinguishers. One's general purpose and the other specifically for kitchen-related fires. For cooking and heating water, I'll be bringing along 2 of these 20-pound propane tanks. And as an aside, did you know that a 20-pound propane tank fits perfectly into a standard milk crate? This gives the tank a lot more stability, and they don't clink together. And when I say they fit perfectly, I'm talking like a glove. For power, I'm using Goal Zero's Yeti Pro 4000, and I chose the system for quite a few reasons. It's portable, stackable, highly expandable, up to 20 kilowatt hours. It uses a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is the safest of the lithium batteries, and offers more than 3,500 cycles over its lifespan, which is basically 10 years of daily use before it gets down to 80% capacity. The Yeti stores 4,000 watt hours of power, which is about 333 amp hours at 12 volts. It's got lots of inputs and outputs, plenty of charging options, and a handy app to keep track of power generation and usage. As far as the inputs, it can accept up to 1,800 watts from an AC wall outlet, up to 3,000 watts of high voltage solar, and up to 275 watts of low voltage solar. And it can receive from all those sources simultaneously if you like. For the outputs, I'll just go over those that are relevant to the build. It's got 4 wall-style outlets, backed by a 3,600 watt AC inverter that supports a 7,200 watt surge. There's also a 12-volt high-power port pushing 405 watts, which supports 13.5 volts, 30 amps continuous, and a 40 amp surge. And a 3,000 watt Power Plus port that supports 90 to 254 volts at 30 amps. I'll be connecting the Yeti to a DC fuse block with 12 bays to support the various loads I've got, and of course, I'll have a ton of extra fuses. If you carry extra fuses, you'll one day be someone's hero. The Yeti's tested against dust, water, extreme temperatures, and even vibrations, so I feel confident that it'll travel nicely. And I've already started expanding the system by adding a Tank Pro 4000 external battery, which doubles my total storage capacity, bringing it to 8,000 watt hours or 665 amp hours at 12 volts. I think this system will provide all the power I need even when I'm out in the middle of nowhere for a week or two. I'll also be installing multiple USB charging ports. These particular units have 3 ports each, an 18-watt quick charge port and two 20-watt power delivery ports. I plan to install these in such a way that none of them are easily visible. While I haven't gotten any bug nets yet, it does seem like an inevitability. I'll let you know when I decide which ones to use or if I end up making them by hand. Aside of that, mice can also be an issue, so for that, I'll be using these motion lights under the van, and I'll be filling every tiny crevice and opening with steel wool. Since I've been using and collecting tools for years, I won't have to buy much on that front. I've already got a drill press, table saw, chop saw, track saw, drills, plenty of hand tools, you name it, I should have it. And that's what I've got so far, just waiting on the van to be delivered. If you want to see how it all comes together, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Nomadic pride.